Welcome back to another session of United Marxist Pact reading. We are continuing our investigation into the working organization, which will bring about, or has the capacity to bring about, the dictatorship of the proletariat, which in turn has the capacity to bring about the communist mode of production. Today, we will be reading through the 1920, the manifesto / platform of the party left, out of the Italian Socialist Party. And we will also be trying to get through the preamble to the statutes of the Third Communist International Second Congress in 1920 and the conditions to admission to the Communist International. Fortunately, because I am lazy, and couldn't bring myself to work on it today, I did not put together a report on yesterday's work. I will be going over that later, though, and will probably release a video on its own or something. I don't know. We'll see. But with that said, to give a short explanation of what we went through yesterday, we read through the We read through the Theses on Bourgeois Democracy and the Dictatorship of the Proletariat. And this is essentially about the tactics and the way that the working class should organize within the dictatorship of the proletariat to bring it about. But within it contains the seeds of discussion about how the working class party should organize before doing so. Because we have to remember, right, that before actually seizure of power and the smashing of the bourgeois state, unlike previous revolutionary movements like the bourgeois revolutions, where they can simply take the state structure, the ready-made state instruments, and convert them over to their own foreign class rule, due to the structure of a proletarian revolution, which necessarily is putting the masses in power and is seeking to destroy class rather than create a new structure in those terms that reinforces class. We have to smash the bourgeois state utterly and completely and create a new one. And that means we need to actually make the state within the shell, the proletarian state within the shell of the bourgeois state. This is what dual power is called. And effectively, we need to do widespread territory seizure, and in one form or another, through worker or councils and cooperatives and so on and so forth, and infiltration thereof, in order to create a revolutionary working class that is handling all the duties of the proletarian dictatorship already. They're already taking the hands of it within the bourgeois state. And that makes it so there is a nice and easy transition from the bourgeois state over to the proletarian one, because it's already the case for the vast majority of the people. There's no confusion like, what do we do now after we've taken over? Which was, in fact, the case in many bourgeois revolutions. The next thing that we read was the theses presented by the Communist Abstentionist Fraction. And as the name suggests, these were people who were arguing, hey, look, we need to break with all the opportunists, the revisionists, any amount of organization within the bourgeoisie, right? So, for example, should we organize with, for example, mutual aid or charities or cultural schools or popular universities or Freemasons lodges, given that these things are sponsored by the members of the bourgeoisie? I don't think that's really the case. Is my stream setting too low? 1 second. Okay, it's on 720p. I will put on 1440 so far as it matters. Thank you for letting me know, Elvin. So it makes its argument that these various lines will, and this ranges from, for example, um, organizing based on just humanitarianism. It talks about, for example, aligning with chauvinists and social chauvinists and the like, and it wipes these away as like this cannot be done. So you should just break with any of these groups, and it makes its argument there. Okay, with that said, we will start reading through the manifesto or platform of the party left, of the Italian Socialist Party. Okay, this is a meeting in Milan to prepare the Florence Congress for the enforcement of Moscow's decisions for the elimination of Social Democrats for the Communist Party. So this is after the break with the Social Democrats, the Kautskyites and the Second International. Days ago, in Milan, a meeting has taken place of a small number of comrades representing the extremist fractions and tendencies within the Italian Socialist Party. From this meeting, the program manifesto we are now publishing has been produced. It does not need any comment. We merely notice that the participation of abstentionists to this movement cannot be a surprise for anyone. Back at the Bologna Congress, a meeting of our fraction deliberated to propose an agreement to electoralist communists, according to which they, apart from the electoral issue, accepted two other strongholds of our motion: the change of party name, the expulsion of the Social Democratic Right. This step did not have a favorable outcome because, as is well known, nobody wanted to give up the prejudice of party unity, with the exception of us abstentionists. Today, after the known events and after the International Communist Congress, the logical development of our action leads us to a loyal agreement with the party's revolutionary elements. With them, without difficulties, and with no disagreement whatsoever, the project of common action that is today presented to all Italian comrades was drawn. The correct pronunciation is Bologna. Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the text. To the comrades and to the sections of the Italian Socialist Party. The crisis that for a long time has been afflicting our party has received additional attention thanks to both the recent events in Italy and to the resolutions of the Second Congress of the Third International. It is therefore necessary and urgent, as to the date of the National Party Congress is getting close, for the left elements of the party itself to make a joint effort to abandon an intolerable situation, which is in contrast with the needs of revolutionary struggle of the Italian proletariat. All this induced us to become the promoters of a movement aimed at preparing the Congress, and for agreed understanding along all those comrades who veritably feel the need that the Congress indicates a definitive and strong solution for the serious problem. We are not going to dwell in recalling the situation of our country. The conditions in which it participated to and came out of the Great World War, and the episodes of this troubled post-war period demonstrate even to our enemies the multiple symptoms of the irreparable disorganization of the present regime, and its incapability to fight the revolutionary consequences of its internal decomposition. On the other hand, the murmur, the feeling, the rebel impulse of the masses of all proletarian layers grow day by day, and manifest themselves in continual agitations, in the fervor of the class battles, which are carried on with the aspiration, albeit merely instinctive, that such battles will in the end result in the final victory of the proletarian revolution. The bourgeoisie, although conscious of its impotence to face the undoing of its social regime, concentrates its last energies in a defense against the advance of the revolutionary masses. On the one hand, it organizes regular and irregular corps for the armed repression of worker uprisings. On the other, it develops a shrewd policy of apparent concessions and fake benevolence towards the aspiration of the masses. The organisms which lead the proletarian action, and whose duty is to develop a victorious opposition to this policy of bourgeois conservation, have several times unmistakably shown their inadequacy. The union organization takes in large numbers of workers that increase day by day, while the latter in their struggle and strikes demonstrate that they feel the need to widen the battlefield and move towards revolutionary conquests. The lean bureaucracy of the unions gives to the whole activity the traditional character of corporative struggles, restricting actions within the boundaries of the pursuit of gradual improvements to proletariat's condition of living, aka reformism. As concerns the political party of the working class, the Socialist Party, which is supposed to sum up in itself the vanguard revolutionary energies, to impress a new character and new direction of the struggle methods for achievement of maximum objectives of communism, it too manifests itself unsuited to the task. Okay, we're going to take that, and we're going to say the party is supposed to, one, sum up in itself. Okay. Be the full vanguard revolutionary energies. That's not the right word. Sum up in itself the vanguard revolutionary energies. In other words, take all the vanguard revolutionary energies into itself. Let's just say that. Take all the into itself. Impress a new character and new direction to the struggle. And that would be methods for the achievement of maximum objective. That is word salad right there. I would have written that basically any other way that you can imagine. I'm going to have to rewrite this entire thing because this is just, what were they thinking? Maybe it's just terrible translation. I don't know. Back to the text. It's certainly true that the majority of the party, by adopting in Bologna the new maximalist program and by giving its adhesion to Moscow's International, believed to have responded to a requirement of the historical problem emerged after the end of the Great War. This had everywhere set one against the other, the two antithetical conceptions of the proletarian struggle. The social democratic one, dishonored by the failure of the Second International and by its complicity with the bourgeoisies, and a communist one, which avails itself of the original Marxist statements and of the glorious experience of the Russian Revolution, which, organized in a new international, launched to the proletariat its revolutionary watchwords: violent struggle for the destruction of bourgeois power, for the proletarian dictatorship, for a regime of the workers' councils. Okay, so in other words, we're going to have to take this. The Communist Party calls for one, violent struggle for the destruction of bourgeois power, proletarian dictatorship, which is the regime of the workers' councils. Grammar. Okay, back to the text. As a matter of fact, the party, may be deluded by the legitimate satisfaction for having kept during the war a quite different demeanor if compared to the other parties of the Second International. In other words, they didn't align with the Social Democrats and called for revolutionary defeatism. Did not understand that a formal program change had to be followed by a profound renewal of its structure and functions. The events that followed demonstrate, thanks to circumstances as superfluous to recall, that the party was far from being equal to a revolutionary task the historical situation was assigned to it. It did not significantly modify the criteria of its politics. Its mainly parliamentary action, by relying on the traditional pre-war methods, has often played the bourgeois government's game. In the moments when crucial decisions had to be taken, old-fashioned persons were left arbiters of the situation. The party was not able to take back from the leadership of the Union and parliamentary action, and we relapsed into old methods of agreements and compromises. The disappointed proletarian masses are then in part turning to other revolutionary currents that militate outside the party, like syndicalists and anarchists. Note these syndicalists, by the way, turned into the fascists, whose conceptions of the revolutionary process cannot agree with those of communists, and correctly criticize such a behavior, which is in deep contrast with the revolutionary necessities and with the revolutionary language of the same party leaders. It is for the reasons given above, and for all other reasons that in several instances have been more extensively expounded by its left-wing elements, that the Italian Socialist Party proved to be unsuited to this task. It is for these reasons that the International Moscow Congress, by accepting the requests of the Italian comrades who belong to a more advanced tendency, resolved to face clearly and firmly the issue of our party's renewal, and has set the foundations on which our next Congress will have to work to achieve such tasks. Which are therefore the tasks of our next Congress? Which are the objectives we must give ourselves so it bravely faces the disease and utilizes the most radical remedies, rather than wasting time in vain verbal skirmishes and shrewd lobbying? We believe that these objectives and intentions could and should be present in all comrades who share, together with the fundamental principles of communism, the desire to apply in the most determined way all Moscow's resolutions to our party's formation and activity. These resolutions will be the common platform of action for those left-wing groups and currents which, although separated over particular conceptions of certain issues of doctrine and tactics, share the criticisms moved, from a revolutionary point of view, to the insufficiency of party action. The program of common action we are supporting in view of the Congress can, in our opinion, be synthesized into the following main points. 1. Change the party name into that of Communist Party of Italy, section of the Communist International. 2. Revision of the program voted in Bologna, some particular statements of which must be made more consistent with the principles of the Third International, so as to oppose it once more to the Social Democratic program favored by the party right. 3. Consequent and formal exclusion from the party of all members and organizations which have proclaimed or will proclaim themselves against the communist program through the sections of Congress vote or by any other means of it, or by means of any other type of expression. 4. Modification of internal party statutes to introduce them into the criteria of homogeneity, as the centralization and discipline which are indispensable bases of Communist Party structure. This by adopting innovations, such as a minimum waiting period for new party membership applications, the periodical membership reviews, the first to be made soon after the Congress. 5. Obligation for all party members, the total discipline of action towards all tactical decisions of both the International and the National Congress, the fulfillment of which will be the responsibility of the Central Committee, given full powers as nominated by the Congress. We're going to take these. Exclusion. And then homogeneity, centralization, and discipline. So, the Communist Party must exclude members and organisms or organizations. Oh no. Exclude anything that takes a position against the communist program. Any form. Okay. The party must internally or the party's statutes must be homogenized. These homogenized statutes must be structured around centralization and discipline. This ways of achieving this will be through systems such as minimum waiting periods, membership reviews, or periodical. Etc. Okay. Obligation of all party members of total discipline. Party members must have obligation of total discipline towards all tactical decisions of both the international and national Congress. This, of course, means that the national and international Congresses must be in harmony. Fulfillment of discipline is the responsibility of the Central Committee. Okay. Back to the text. The guidelines of party activity will be inspired by the enforcement of the criteria established by Moscow's Congress. In short, will be the following. A. Preparation of proletarian insurrectional action by exploiting all legal propaganda instruments by organizing at the same time on a broad basis illegal work to create all indispensable conditions for actions and provide all necessary material means. In other words, make a militia and get weapons. B. Organization within all unions, leagues, cooperatives, factories, firms, etc. of communist groups connected to party organization for propaganda in and the conquest of such organisms and for revolutionary preparation. C. Action within the economic organizations to bring their leadership to the Communist Party. Appeal to revolutionary proletarian organizations which are outside the Confederación General de Laboro to return to support the struggle of communists against its present orientation and its present leaders. Rejection of alliance agreements between party and confederation, which is inspired by the social democratic criterion of parity of rights between party and trade union, to replace it with the actual control of the action of the proletarian economic organizations by the Communist Party through the discipline of communists who work inside the unions to the directions of the Communist Party. Separation of the Confederation, as soon as it has conquered the Communist Party's directions, from Amsterdam's Secretariat and its joining the Union section of the Communist International, according to rules are in the latter statute. So, in other words, what they're saying is, hey, look, communists join all these different organizations, then rise to leadership positions, and then subordinate them to the Communist Party. This is what we would call entryism. It doesn't, in my experience and America's experience in particular, work. I'm not sure how I feel about this recommendation. I mean, to be fair, I do recommend, for example, joining the Green Party and then agitating on grounds of socialism or extinction, as the channel talks about, and basically building up a core of radical communists and saying, on the basis of saying, hey, look, there's no condition wherein capitalism has the capacity to actually deal with climate change, even if it transitions to the best possible form it could actually combat it, which would be a planned state capitalist eco-fascism. That's the best that capitalism can do against the climate crisis at the point of time that we're in. It's just self-defeating. Any such structure along those lines is unable to actually deal with the problem at hand, and only worsens conditions. So the only way to actually deal with the climate crisis and actually survive for our descendants is through communism. It's that simple. But I'm not actually advocating that, you take leadership positions of the Green Party and then subordinate it to the Communist Party. I don't think that will work. Rather, I advocate building up a core of communists within the Green Party and then leaving it. That's not entryism, not really. So, there's a bit of a disagreement here based on my own experience and historical knowledge. We'll see in the future whether or not they keep up with this position, I guess. Okay, back to the text. D. Struggle to win over to the Communist Party leadership of the movement a cooperative organization, to rid it from the present bourgeois and pay bourgeois influences and make it supportive of the proletarian revolutionary class movement. E. Participation to political and administrative elections in a way that is completely opposed to the old social democratic practice, with the objective of waging revolutionary propaganda and agitation, of hastening the breakup of the bourgeois organs of representative democracy, revision by party organs, and under the direction of the Central Committee, of the composition of all party elected representatives in municipalities, provinces, and parliament, with the faculty of dissolving them. Control and permanent direction by the Central Committee of those that will be kept. The parliamentary group will be considered as the organ with the duty of carrying out specific tactical functions under the guidance of the party central. It will not have the faculty to express its opinion as a separate body on issues involving parties' general politics. F. Control of all propaganda activity by the central organs, in particular disciplining of all party press organs, the managing committees of which will be nominated or confirmed by the Central Committee, which will control their activity in accordance with the political directions of the Congress. G. Close contact with the youth movement, according to the guidelines provided by a statute of the Communist International. Intensification of propaganda and organization among women. I would like to find this. I'm gonna take this right here and put this in here, and I would like to investigate this because we don't have nearly enough for stuff in terms of how students might engage in struggle. It's a very important thing that high school and college students have access to materials that tell them how they can get involved. But we don't really have a lot of that, unfortunately. Okay, we'll go back up here and pull the stuff in here after we finish. We believe that these general guidelines of the program for common action will receive the approval of all communists, which will actively contribute to ensure its triumph in the coming party meetings through a broad agitation and the organization of all forces that will move to this ground. To work, then, comrades, beyond false utilitarian sentimentalism, beyond miserable personal issues, for the cause of Kai's revolution to triumph. Milano, October 1920. Written by Niccolo Bombassi, Amadeo Bordiga, Bruno Forticiari, Antonio Gramsci, Francesco Misiano, Luigi Polano, Umberto Terracini. Okay. So we're just going to copy over all of these. This thing, at the very least, can just be summed up as entryism with the intent to take over organizations and suborn them to the Communist Party. I'm sorry, I just don't feel like that's going to work out. That's just my experience. We'll see. Here. Here. Insert row below. Okay. What is it called? Diversity of tactics. Focus on legal work on propaganda. Organize broad illegal work to create the conditions for action. I'm going to translate action as a direct class struggle. And then provide all necessary material means for such action. Stockpiling of weapons, organization of militias, training, etc. Okay. Organize within all locations and structures where the working class are. In them, create communist groups connected to the party. Engage in propaganda within them in order to take them over. Let's just say what it is. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's what it is. It's taking them over. It's an internal coup of such organizations, and the transition from base economical struggle into political struggle. Okay. Take over the cooperative movements organization. This would be like Richard Wolff. Expel bourgeois and petty bourgeois influences. Subordinate it to the proletarian revolutionary class movement, aka to the party in their conception. Okay. Participation to political and administrative elections. Okay. Participate in elections, but solely with the objective to engage in revolutionary propaganda and agitation. Solely with the objective to A, engage in revolutionary propaganda and agitation, and B, break up the bourgeois organs of representative democracy. Let's see. Revision by the party organs and under the direction of the Central Committee of the composition of all party elective representations in municipalities, provinces, and parliament, faculty of dissolving them. What does that mean? So basically, revision by the party organs changes to the composition of all party elective representations with the faculty of dissolving them. So the goal is to dissolve representations, control and per direction by the Central Committee of those that will be kept. Okay, so wherever there's communists that have won elections but are continuing their reformism, dissolve those. The ones that we are keeping should be brought within the brought under the direct command of the Central Committee, which and the ones that we keep are the ones that are focusing on engaging in revolutionary propaganda, agitation, and making it so the bourgeois state cannot function, cannot continue its oppression of the proletariat, and so on and so forth in a direct manner, because through democracy we've made it so they can't fight back. So below, and then through democracy make it so the bourgeois system is unable to mobilize easily. The parliamentary group will be considered as the organ of the duty of carrying out the specific tactical function under the guidance of the party central. It will not have the faculty to express its opinion as a separate body on issues involving parties' general politics. Consider the organ. Okay, so essentially sidelining any such parliamentary organizing. Within the party, those groups which engage in electoral politics are suborned by the Central Committee and do not have the ability to present themselves as a separate body on issues involving party general politics. So this is a way of fighting against, it's a way of fighting against the workers, against legalist liquidationists trying to remove the interest in militant organization. Okay. Control of all propaganda activity by the central organs, and particular discipline of all party press organs. Okay. All propaganda brought under discipline and control by the central organs. Close contact with the youth movement. Youth movement. Propaganda towards propaganda and organization among women. Let's update that to those suppressed under patriarchy, because it's a little bit wider now, and that's a good thing. Okay, and that is our reading of the 1920 Manifesto platform of the Party Left. We'll do an analysis of the text later and put it all together. And I will be ending this stream now. Thank you for attending.